Welcome, Fireflies, to the rawest gaming podcast in the world, Raw Effect, with your host, Max. And myself,
Hello.
Benza. Thank you, Max. So today, we are back with the second part of our previous podcast, which is only focused on The Last of Us Part 2. And this part will only contain spoilers and basically will focus on only the story and narrative of the game. So if you are not interested in Last of Us 2 spoilers, turn it off right now, because you will be disappointed and your gaming experience will be completely destroyed. So I warned you, do it now. But other than that, let's dive right into it, Max.
Yeah, like you said, the leaks happened. They spoiled that Joel's gonna die in the end. And if you're still here and you still want to play the game, we just destroyed your experience.
In the end, it dies in the freaking beginning, dude.
Yeah. Alright, so people hate that he dies in the beginning. How do you feel about it?
I kind of hate it too. Well, I'm okay with him dying overall. I'm not super against it, but I feel like the way he dies is just the most annoying. It ruined the character for me. Like, okay, let me get this out of the way. He's like a super experienced person that has been there since the freaking outbreak. He meets a fucking girl, saves her, they introduce with their real names, they don't have their guns out, and they think they're like, hey guys, this is a bunch of new people in a closed room that I don't know at all. I'm by the way, I'm Joel. Who are you? And then, oh, he dies. Like, can he really die this way? It makes any sense to you? Like, I feel like he makes the rookiest mistake, and also his brother. Like, they are both like super high skilled survivals for multiple years, knowing everything, and they make this very basic mistake, and that's the way he dies. Really, like, that's just super annoying to me. Who started off?
Yeah, I heard this from a couple of people. I heard this from a couple of people, and I've actually been thinking about it. So they meet Abby, right?
Yeah.
She's already in distress. He doesn't save her. Abby actually helps them out. All of them would have been dead without Abby. The second when
Abby
Tommy
is climbing in a thingy where like a bunch of infected are like grabbing her, and Joel saves her from the chains. Basically, like she already would have died there.
Yeah, but she's saving all of them as well, because there's two people in the room who's fending off the infected when Tommy is pushing the car towards the window so they can't get out at all.
Yeah, but the infected only got to them because they went back to save Abby. Like, they went back to save her from
they didn't go back. They bumped.
No, like, she was like climbing there, right, and the chains. And then there was like hundreds of infected pushing against the chain. And then they were like, oh shit, let's save her. And then went into the room and ran with her, basically. That's how I seen it, at least.
I remember that she was like attacked by the fence. All the people were like grabbing towards her, and Joel just pulled her out. So he was already there.
Really know
I think
if
they were both
back.
there because it was.
Yeah, they were there, but we don't know if they went back to save her or just like were exact same spot. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. All right, so let's move on from there. So they're completely surrounded. There's no way out. They can't outrun them at all because they are also running behind the horse. So there's no way to get away. The only solution is that they can go to the cabin that Abby suggested. That is literally the only way out. So at that point, they're already locked in. Then they get through the gate. There's a bunch of people standing there already shooting. If they would have said, all right, we're going to start a fight with them, they would have lost immediately and would have been shot in the head. Joel already let it slip that his name was Joel before, so Abby already knew that he was Joel because she...
Well, they don't just get to a camp. It's more like they are already safe, and then she's like, oh, let's go to our camp, which is close by, basically. And then they say, oh, let's just go.
No. When they go to the camp in the cutscene, there's infected from every angle chasing behind them.
Yeah, but they could have escaped
any
other way.
That's why they're all at
basically.
the gates. That's why they throw the Molotovs at the gate.
Yeah, but I think they could have just escaped any other way. It just was like organized that she has her friends there, which is okay that they go that way, I think. It's just they had their guards so down and they didn't like they weren't like precautious at all or like care at all, basically, which is very weird to me.
No, they had to go there because the blizzard was destroying everything, and they would have never made it back to their next save point safely. That's why they couldn't outrun the infected, and the house was the only safe spot. And as soon as the gate closed, they were already
They
fucked.
They
And
always
the thing
survive.
is, they weren't
like they survive everything, dude.
but they weren't dumb either. So Joel already let it slip that his name was Joel. So
I guess.
that was fucked already before they got to the camp. And then they go into the room and Tommy is already taking a spot at the side because there's people just surrounding them. So he already knows that they're kind of screwed. That's why he's suggesting they should come back with him to the camp, because at least there they have like proper defenses. If they try anything there, Tommy and Joel are safe. So they were fucked the second the horde attacked.
Well, I don't know. I feel like
It wasn't a rookie mistake.
I feel like it's still like
At that point,
like I think they always survive everything. I don't think they would have died to the horde. They would have probably got out the same way without Abby. I think they still saved Abby 2 times basically, because Abby would have 100% died. They were at least 2 people, right? Abby was completely alone, so she would have died. I don't know about them. Maybe they would have died. Who knows? But yeah, I feel like when they were in that room, it was just felt so weird, especially Joel. I guess you're right. Tommy was like on the side, really like sitting there, like kind of more cautious, I guess. But Joel was literally standing in the middle of a whole circle and just casually, very friendly talking to everyone. And that just felt...
Well, he was just walking in, and then people kind of just surrounded them.
And then he was like, wait, you
like,
know me or something? And then he basically got killed.
No, the second they said Joel, the entire mood of the scene changed and everything was completely fucked. But Abby already knew about it because she was talking to Owen in the background and like whispering to him because she already knew who he was.
True.
So they were completely done the second
I mean,
the
you
horde
could see
arrived
Abby's
at
face.
the outpost.
No, I still don't agree with that because I think they could have just got away. But yeah, Abby, when they said I'm Joel, when they introduced, Abby's face was like, and then you knew that something is off, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they said in the beginning, the first thing they said were like, oh, we need to find him. And at that point, it was clear. I mean, I didn't hear anything about the spoilers, but
yeah,
honestly, I'm surprised Joel made it out of the first game alive. He's a fucking monster and
beast,
a terrible
dude.
person. Super likable. I love Joel. He has such good chemistry, and like the way like the hand he was dealt and the thing he had to do to stay alive were like already horrible and terrible, and he had a really rough life. But he also did a lot of really terrible things. I think he had it coming.
I think you're right, but at the same time, as you even said yourself, everyone in this world is a monster basically, and Joel is also a monster. Like he killed like hundreds of people in the first game, but that's probably like more like for the gameplay itself. But he has like his own like kind of codex, like a samurai, more like. We also talked about Ghost of Tsushima. He's like kind of a nice person, but a beast at the same time, you know?
Joel is a fucking asshole.
I think it's
like in the first
like
game
when you
meet
his
Joel
and people who care about them, then he really cares about them and treats them nicely. And
when you meet Joel and Trish in the first game, they give 0 shits about anything. They just care about their own survival, and they are smugglers.
yeah, true.
The second you hit Pittsburgh and they lure you into that trap, he said that he did that a couple of times to other random people, set traps and then just killed them and stole whatever they had. He is not a good person, not by a long shot. Even the decision that he makes to fuck the entire planet just to save that one girl.
Yeah, well, that's also like more like a dilemma, I guess. Like, do you sacrifice like basically your family, like your daughter basically, or save the whole planet? I don't know. I would have probably done the same thing.
Yeah, that's
right?
exactly the same decision the other dad had to make in the game, the father of Abby. And he said he had the complete opposite opinion. He said, I would offer my daughter, and the daughter completely agreed. The sake of
Abby's dad was probably
Abby's
dad was probably a nicer person, I guess, but I would probably still do what Joel did. To be honest, if I was in that situation, like.
All right, let's talk about Abby. Yeah. So she kills Joel, right? And you hated her, as far as I can tell, till the end of the game,
to be honest,
right?
I didn't even like her even before she killed Joel. She was just not sympathetic from the very beginning, and it just got worse when she killed Joel. And I didn't really like her personality or anything. I was never interested in what's happening with their whole crew. I didn't really care about any of their relationships. They had this weird copy of the love triangle. So Yeah, so Abby was in a love triangle with Owen and this Mel, this third girl, who was pregnant. And weirdly, the exact same thing was happening with on the other side of the spectrum with Ellie and her friend or girlfriend and her ex-boyfriend. Basically, it was also like a love triangle. So I was that was also weird that they bring that up 2 times. Maybe they like tried to set like a parallel between the two, but it still felt really odd to me, the same like scenario 2 times. So yeah, I didn't really care about Abby. I was happy to see her suffer and her friends die one by one. I don't know. It was great joy to me.
All right, so basically the entire structure and the narrative is that fucking hatred is toxic, and there's like vicious circles of just revenge going on in that game.
Yeah, that's what the whole game is about. Basically, it's weird bit.
Halfway through the game, you play as Abby, right? And they reveal why she killed Joel in the first place.
Yeah.
And a lot of people couldn't get behind that because she kills Joel because Joel killed her dad.
Yeah, and then.
But at the same time, Abby kills Ellie's dad, and it's the exact same thing. And if you are behind Ellie's in the beginning, from a logical perspective, you should be behind.
But then you go one step even further. That Abby's dad is killing Ellie, so Joel kills Abby's dad. Then Abby kills Joel, and then Ellie wants to kill Abby. So it's really a vicious circle. Everyone just wants revenge for everyone, basically.
Joel kicked this entire thing into motion. That is like the beautiful irony of it all.
No,
like the last the last cutscene of this game is literally him saying he would do the same thing all over again, save her and save everybody. If Joel, so at the end of part 2, there's only ever one survivor. If Ellie survives, Joel has to die, because if Joel saves Ellie, Abby is gonna kill Joel because he killed her dad.
Joel saves Abby.
But if Joel survives and lets Ellie die,
but why
Joel
would
back
Ellie die? What do you mean? If in the first game she lets Ellie die, you mean?
No. If he saves Ellie in the first game, he's dead because of the ripple effect.
Oh, because then Abby wants to kill him, right?
Exactly. But if he lets Ellie die, then he will live, but Ellie is dead. So there can only be one survivor.
Well, in a way, unless Abby is not in the picture, yes.
Yeah, but Abby is in the picture. That's the whole point. That's why she's in this game. That's why she's such a major narrative character.
Okay, but at the same time,
And I honestly think that...
Would it even be alive for Joel if he let Ellie die? Like, he lost his daughter, he lost his family, he was already super depressed. Ellie was like the only thing in his life he cared about. And then he chose to let her die because of a greater good that he doesn't really care about. So then he dies basically as well there already. So then no one survives.
So let me ask you this. What's going to happen to Ellie after this game?
What?
She can play the one thing that her last connection to Joel, her fingers to play the guitar, are bitten off. So she doesn't even have that anymore.
Well, but she has
she basically
family we don't know what happened to, which was kind of like left open, right?
She gave up everything for the revenge. We don't even know where Dina is. Exactly. She could have gone anywhere with that kid.
Well, we know that they didn't get like killed or anything because the bed sheets were like nicely put on the bed and her stuff together. So they like left on purpose. But we don't know what happened, yeah.
So this is what I'm saying about the parallels. So think about it, right? So Joel kills Abby's father.
Yes.
Abby kills Ellie's father.
Yes.
Then Ellie kills Abby's friends. Then Abby kills Ellie's friends. At that point, everything would have been fine.
Yeah, but wait, Ellie killed Abby's friends
No, let me finish.
But Ellie only killed Abby's friends because they were there torturing Joel as well. Like, I don't think she would have killed them if they were not there. Like, they were kind of part of this.
I think Ellie just killed them to get to Abby in the first place. She didn't even kill any of them. She killed only the one person, which she tortured to fucking death while she was infected. just to get out where Abby might be.
Yeah, like her main goal was Abby for sure, but she wanted to kill all of them, like hunt them down one by one, basically.
Yeah, but if you really think about it, right? If you compare Ellie when she confronts Abby, oh my god,
names.
Their names are so close, it's throwing me off so hard.
She confronts her, which part?
Alright, so at the point at the aquarium, right? Ellie is already like so far gone that she just kills everything in her way to like get her fucking revenge. Exactly. How is this any different from Abby in the beginning of the game?
I'm not saying it's really different.
Ellie left all of her friends behind to go after this one person. She didn't care about Jesse. She didn't care about Tommy. Dina was in the fucking theater. What did Abby do in the beginning of the game? She left Owen and left everybody in the house before they even could make a plan, just to make a run for it and see if she could kill Joel.
Yeah, I know. Like, they were both obsessed with revenge, basically. And that's why I'm saying that there's always like parallels set between them in the game, even in weird ways, like the love triangle thing.
It's not weird. It makes perfect sense. When Ellie is at the end at the farm, right? She has everything she ever wanted. She has a lovely girlfriend, wife. She has a kid. She has a farm.
Like, she only loves Joel, truly. And she doesn't have him because this girl took him away.
Well, she has PTSD from the moment when...
Joel got killed, yes.
Guilt and vengeance and survivor's guilt, yes. But she leaves everything behind that she ever wanted to like take revenge on that person.
Did she ever say
how
that
is this
she
any
ever
different from
wanted a
Abby when
family?
you look at the
like
no, not the family, but if you look back at the flashbacks of Abby, of Owen and her just having a time at the museum, and Owen really loves her like throughout the entire game and even wants to get back with her in the end for a reason, but like it makes so much sense. She's basically throwing everything she has away to do the training, get buff, and to take revenge as well. Just to go on this narrow-minded path of just destroying everything in her way to get to the killer of her dad.
Yeah, that's very true. And they are both the same.
It's the same thing that Ellie does.
I know.
The entire first half of the game, I mentioned it a lot of times in the podcast, in the normal episode. Like, the first half of the game throws me off so much because there's zero character development. All the characters that you go through, like, you see the people that killed Joel in the beginning, but you don't see their faces properly, or they don't have any characters.
Yeah, you don't even know who
and
is
you like
who,
go
basically.
from location
exactly.
to...
Like, they're just saying the name and
exactly.
you don't even know who that is. Yeah, I no idea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you go from location to location to kill these assholes, and you don't even know who they are. You're basically the predator, and you just want to get it fucking done and kill them.
It's almost like you have this
and
list of
like
names and you just go and want to kill each of them. That's why... That was my problem with... I even said in the last podcast that kind of all characters lost their meaning for me, except Joel. Joel was only kind of stupid in the beginning, but yeah. But that's why I don't like Ellie that much anymore. Exactly, like... She has basically nothing of Joel in her except the very last scene. Not last scene, but like the last fight, basically, when she has some humanity. But she's just a monster, not caring about anyone... Just not even literally a human. Like, she's barely the cute, okay, not so cute girl. She was always a badass, but you know, like, she just deformed into this one monster, only looking for revenge and not caring about anyone. And as you said, it's basically the same as Abby. Yeah.
Perfect. That is exactly what I wanted you to feel. That's exactly the point of the first half. I kept asking myself, like, it would be so easy to have, like, the people that you're trying to kill, like, humanize them, give them some lines, let them show up. It's so weird that Abby never shows up again in Ellie's campaign right until the end.
Yeah.
It's so weird to me. You never see the villain ever again, even though in the first, like, if you look at any games of the last 6 Uncharted games or Last of Us, every game is from the perspective of the hero. You never see the villains in random cutscenes. If you see the villain, like in Uncharted 4, you're in a catacomb and listen to them through like some stones and stuff. Mm-hmm. You never see the villains plotting alone. You're always with the people. Yeah. But in this game, in the beginning, you switch perspective so much. So it would have been so easy just to show like Abby doing some random stuff and like reacting to her friends' deaths or something. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know at that point that you were still playing with Abby later on. I just knew that Ellie was going through this, and I was confused as hell why she is completely dehumanized. All the characters don't matter to her, and you don't even care about the villains anymore.
Yeah.
But that's just because you're so narrow-minded on your goal and try to achieve it that nothing else matters anymore, and just the hatred that she has in herself that's growing, and the more vicious she's getting and killing all those dogs and all those people and just mowing down through these fucking
it's just
assholes.
vengeance and anger,
It's
basically.
exactly...
But wait,
it's exactly
I think
what
it's
they
worth
wanted.
mentioning to the listeners who haven't played the game that the whole structure of the game is basically you have like a beginning opening section when you play a bit with Joel, which is not super important. Then we play with Ellie and Abby, and it's just like a beginning of the game where Joel dies and Ellie kind of finds out, and then you spend 3 days of the game playing as Ellie, leading up to the confrontation with Abby, because they are like hunting down each other, basically, as we said. And then after the confrontation happens, you switch places, you go back in time and play as Abby, leading up to the same confrontation, the same 3 days. And then you again go to the same moment when they meet, and you fight each other, basically. And then there's like a last section of the game when you play with Ellie again and go after Abby for the ending of the game, basically. So that's how the whole structure of the game is, with some flashbacks for both characters during their playtimes back in their past.
Yeah. So I was also wondering throughout the first half, because I kept taking notes and was thinking, like, how can you do this better? Why don't you like write out these characters more? Why do you do it in this way? Why not change the Abby campaign with the Ellie campaign, so at least you care about the people that you kill later on and feel bad about killing them or something, right? But the way this is structured actually makes so much sense to me, because you are in the opening, you see both perspectives. Joel has been taken out, and both of them have a massive character change. Ellie is happy and lucky in the beginning and hasn't a care in the world. She just thinks about her girlfriend and stuff, because there's nothing else. Well, technically there's a shit ton to worry about, but in her little world, that's all that matters at that point.
Yeah.
Abby has like a single-minded focus on just killing Joel and getting it over with, because she just wants revenge for her father, because she's been training for the last 4 years, hanging on to every threat, loose information that could tie her to Joel, and just like she wasn't even sure if he was there or not. She just wanted anything that she could hang on to like get revenge. And after that point, Ellie transitions into Abby, and at the halfway point, when Ellie is literally at her lowest low, her friend got shot. You weren't sure if Tommy was still alive, and she was literally at gunpoint from Abby, the asshole that shot Joel and popped up out of nowhere, and you didn't know why. And then you switch perspective.
Yep, exactly.
And at that point you realize that, or I did, that I didn't give two shits about Abby. I wanted her to die, and I wasn't sure if I hit the halfway point of the game, or if this was just another little flashback that you were having, and then go back to the original story. But it turns out it's halfway through the game, and then you start playing with Abby. And you realize pretty soon that she literally hates what she did. Everybody surrounding her who was part of this Joel thing can't stand her anymore because of how vicious she was by killing this dude. Nobody wants to be around her anymore. She can't sleep, she can't eat, she hates herself, and she literally looks for her redemption and something to believe in again, and literally redeeming herself. The entire arc of her throughout the second chapter is finding somebody to care about in Lev and in Kara, or what was her name?
Yara, something like that.
Yara, and yeah, and Manny as well. So you grow to actually like the characters that you killed in the beginning. They get a lot more character development. You can see like the brighter tones coming back from like all the grayish shit that was in the
care. I really didn't care about any of them.
I cared a lot. I think
I liked Manny, but
I think Abby and Owen had like a really good relationship, and I think
to be honest, I felt like Owen
Lev
is like
and
this
Abby were a really good team.
Stupid dude to me that I didn't even like him. I didn't like Abby. The only one maybe I liked is Mel, because she was kind of like the nice person, and then I like these two Scars, which we should definitely talk about. That the game has this basically this new faction called Scars, or what was it? What's the long version?
Scars.
That was like a longer version of that. Scar.
I don't remember.
Sapphites, I think. Yeah, and
sounds wrong, but
Sephiroth,
yeah, I don't
I
know, what's
think.
the
And
weird one?
these are these fanatical religious people believing in like a woman that did miracles and has like teachings, kind of like Jesus basically, but in that age and in a female form. And then they,
No.
yeah, they said she is.
All they believe in is that the pandemic was a wake-up call that all the technology is bad and that you should go back to your old
Yeah, but they
ways.
believe in the teachings of this one person who did miracles. They said, like, she literally mentioned that she is doing miracles, and they have statues of her literally resembling like Jesus, basically, and there's, like, whole drawings and pictures of her, like the saint that died like a martyr.
Yeah, in some way.
Yeah, and then of course,
it was like a
in
random
her
lady.
teachings that you turn away from modern technology and like, yeah, what you just mentioned, basically. That's also part of it.
Yeah, it was some random lady who just wrote some books who grew in a cult, and then the dude who was running the Seattle city. So everything was run by the government, and then they took over, like, basically the wolves.
Yeah, so the wolves are like there was
double
two sections again. The wolves are some liberation front,
Liberation
Washington
Front.
Liberation Front, I guess, and the what was the other Fedra, right? Which was the army,
I think
basically.
West Coast
West
Liberation,
Coast, could
whatever.
be.
Anyway, the Liberation Front took the city over, and then in that city they grew like a little cult, and then they killed that lady as a martyr, and all the cult followers like fucking doubled and tripled because she died as a martyr.
And do you think
and
this
then
is not
they,
like a call to
obscured...
Jesus, literally? Like dying as a martyr after making miracles happen and being like this, I think is literally referring to Jesus in this setting. Like it's your like your faith restored, the one good person, the one that you can look up to and pray to, and has his own teachings and you follow it.
I mean, I didn't really give a shit because all I did was just literally living off the land, which is a smart move in my opinion.
Well,
like all the
they have their island
factions
basically,
in
right? Like their own island, which is completely separated, and they are kind of safe there and living in their own little.
Did you realize what that island was?
No, what was that?
That was part of Seattle because Seattle got flooded. That's the part with the Space Needle on it. That's why the Space Needle is there.
Oh, okay.
It's like half the city got flooded. That's what the island is. It's like the little part that was like higher up.
Oh yeah.
It was so cool. That was a pretty cool idea. Yeah, but you have 4 factions, right? You have Tommy and Jackson, who basically live like cowboys when you like go through the city, and they have like their
cowboys, like bars and like horses and yeah, cowboy hats and saloons and that kind of.
Yeah, then you have like the marauders and the militia in the city, in the stadium, that have like their crop fields in the stadium and live in slums and stuff. Then you have like the people on the island, the religious ones or whatever, that have like an entire island built out with crazy cool houses, living off the land, living like
they
really
said they
cool
have like
lives.
a few thousand people, so not like massive amounts, but yeah.
Yeah, man, they built an entire crazy cool city. It was literally like a Scandinavia or something. It was really,
it's
really
all
cool
like
to
these
go through
wooden
there.
buildings.
That was such a fucking awesome setting.
Like the Haven, which is their capital, looks so cool from the distance. It was so pretty. Like all these like natural lights with torches and like these wooden houses in the distance, like it just looks so good.
Yeah, and then the last faction was the people in Santa Barbara, basically bikers and stuff, who took over like a resort and caught random people as slaves and had them work in the fields.
Yeah, I was wondering
really
what's up with that. Like first I thought they were like catching girls, especially for like raping them or whatever. Then I thought they are like eating them or something, but then they are just like having prisoners. You never really found out what they exactly do, right? Just like working them.
Oh no, you do find out. Yeah, they were working the fields. Like when you approach the compound, you can see all the prisoners coming from like the
and
fields.
Working, and they say that they're like getting tomatoes and shit, right, in notes. But like, is that all that they were? Like they were basically doing like slave labor, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty fucked up, but it's so cool to see like all these people living in this post world and see how they're like trying to survive and stuff, and building like these little groups with like their own rules and identities and stuff.
Yeah. But then there's Abby, who doesn't care about anyone. Like
Abby does care about a lot of people.
She beat like first. Okay.
No, she doesn't. Yeah. Who does she
like
betray?
All her friends. Like,
No.
yeah, she's
When
literally
does
okay.
she
She's
betray
part
all
of
of
this
her friends?
VLF. Everyone is friends with her. Basically, everyone knows her, and then she's literally killing them for some strangers that she hated.
Well, she hates the scars.
And also, when her best friends died,
That's
like
the-
Manny, for example, who was like one of my favorite characters from that group, she doesn't even like flinch. She's like, "Oh, he died." Like, that's it.
What do you mean she doesn't flinch? She gets shot in the head and she has to like
Yeah,
duck
but
into
then there's
cover, and the dude
there's
who
no
was
emotions.
shooting her is still
yeah,
out
but
there.
there's no emotions on her face, or she's not even saying anything. She's like, "Oh fuck" or "motherfucker."
You don't even see her
She
face.
says "motherfucker." Actually, that's the exact line she says. That's it.
Yeah, but you don't see her face.
Yeah, of course you can see her. Like there are cutscenes, but like she's not like, "Oh no," whatever. She's just like there and "motherfucker," and that was it. Her best friend killed.
That would have been even weirder if she would have said, "Oh no."
No, I don't know if
I would have literally
would
stood there and
felt
would
any
have been like-
emotions for her. But like I don't know, the whole character for me was just like so emotionless. I didn't feel anything with her, the whole game.
I don't know. I think she brought in so much more emotion after like
I don't know.
literally after Joel's death. She like tried to redeem herself and get more and more and more and more and
Yeah,
more
you're right
emotions
in
to
that
like
way
the
that-
end of the game, and got so much more involved in all of the people, and actually like you could see her being haunted by Joel and by everything that happened to her and what led up to like her dad's death and everything. Like killing Joel didn't do anything at all. She still felt really dead and
Well, she
terrible
felt
inside,
because of
and
that
all the
after,
decisions that she
basically.
made with Owen.
Yeah, she felt bad because of Joel after that. Basically, she also got traumatized by what she did. Basically, yeah.
Yeah, and she's trying to redeem herself. Like everything that happens after in the second act is all of her just trying to make amends for what she did. Every time she meets Owen, she sees the life that she could have had, that she wasted away for like
Revenge.
like going after Joel and going for the revenge. And that's exactly what Ellie does as well. Like these two characters are so parallel. The only difference is that Abby is already further in the story. So when Ellie goes insane, so you see where Abby is coming from, then you see where Ellie could go if she could actually get her revenge or forgiveness.
But you know that
So
Abby
when-
does the same thing again after she finds out that her friends are dead.
She doesn't.
Yeah, she goes after
When
Ellie,
does she?
like
She doesn't kill Ellie.
Oh, yeah, she goes to kill Ellie.
She literally lets her go.
True, but she goes there too.
She redeemed
Yeah,
herself.
Maybe, but she goes. Okay, no, she like you know there's this scene when they go. She goes to kill Ellie, right? That's her goal. To go and kill Ellie because she killed his friend, and she actually shoots at Ellie without any motions, and then she actually lets her go, right? But she actually shoots at her and kills Jesse, and she thinks she killed Tommy. She basically killed already two people, and also tried to kill Ellie right there, and then she lets her go, and then you still have a fight with Ellie.
Yeah, she's holding Ellie at gunpoint. Jesse's dead because he literally came running out the door with a gun. I mean, at that point, he was already a goner.
Yeah.
And how the scene resolves with Ellie and Abby is that... So, Ellie killed the pregnant woman, and her boyfriend, technically. So, her revenge would have been to kill the pregnant girlfriend of Ellie's, as a parallel, and then Ellie. But Lev steps in, which is a representation of her forgiveness and her redemption and everything she did until that point to get out of her head and actually do something for other people and live a life that's not completely consumed by hatred and revenge. And this lets her live and lets her get out of there, and giving her the chance to be happy on a farm with the people that she loves.
Yeah, but she
And
still
live out the rest of her
she
days
still went there
happy.
with the reason to kill all of them basically, because they killed her friend.
Yeah, but she didn't.
Yeah, but she killed two people. Still, okay, we find out Tommy didn't
Yeah,
die,
but
but she
Ellie-
tried. She also tried to kill Ellie without, like, she was actually shooting at Ellie, just missed. I don't know if you saw that. Like when the Jesse dies, when they come through the door, she shoots like 2-3 times at Ellie, but misses all 3.
Well, I mean, honestly, how many does she know are in
by the
there?
way,
Does she know Ellie's gonna
it reminded me
come?
of something funny, actually. You know, there's a scene when Isaac comes, who is the boss of her, basically, and
Yeah.
she drops her gun away, right? Like they say, oh, drop, like she puts her gun away, and the next scene, you fight, obviously, and you have your gun back. I just noticed that it's like a little funny not continuance in the game.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you thought about that. That just reminded me of that because that's what Ellie does basically. Also throws the gun away at that part when they confront.
Yeah, I know. She puts the gun on the table. Yeah. I mean, yeah, makes sense. But the problem is that you keep your guns. You don't switch them like a first-person shooter. So in first-person shooters, when you get captured or something, you lose all your guns, so you have to pick them up again. But the problem there is that you can't just like drop your pistol somewhere because you have
I
the
understand why they
slider.
did it like this. It was just weird to see that you just drop the gun away.
I mean,
and
there
it's
would have been
like-
a workaround that you can find the pistol somewhere else again, and it's like slightly better or a different model or some nonsense. But yeah, that's a bit weird. I agree.
Yeah. But like, don't you think that she's third on, like, just because she find this one girl and boy that she could get her redemption in, but while she is trying to redeem herself as a good person because all the sins she committed basically, and she also getting a bit more spiritual through the journey, and just because of that, then she still kills all the soldiers that she was like friends with, and just to save the other two people. Like, it's just a trade-off again between two things, because she doesn't believe in something personally. She just betrays her previous faith and turns her back to her personal agenda. Just to redeem herself, she kills a bunch of friends, basically. And they even call her a traitor. Everyone recognizes her.
She would have been,
like, every soldier you meet is like, hey, Abby is there. And she's just killing them, right?
She would have betrayed them either way. Honestly, like, Owen accepted the kids and the Scars. Like, the Scars hate the kids. The only way where she wouldn't have betrayed anybody would have been if she shot herself in the head at that point. If she would have betrayed the kids, then she would have betrayed the kids. If she would have betrayed the wolves, then she would have betrayed the wolves. And she tried to, like, negotiate with them. She didn't try to kill them at all. She even put her gun on the floor, so she was disarmed at that point. The only reason why she survived...
At that point, she was held at gunpoint by 5 other soldiers with Yara, the other girl, dead on the floor. They thought she's dead, but she wasn't. And that's why she kind of, I think, submitted. But before that, she already killed soldiers from that group.
No.
I think.
No, she didn't.
Yes.
Nope. No. You don't kill any wolves before that point. You only go through the island and kill Scars.
Okay. I guess.
That is the first point when you kill wolves, because before you avoided them completely. And yeah, she could have also just turned on the kid and should have said, yeah, fuck it, I'll shoot the kid, done. And then she would have betrayed the kid. But she actually tried to resolve the situation without anybody getting killed. It's just that Isaac is a complete lunatic and a mass murderer and just wants to control over the city, and he doesn't give two fucks about how to get
Well, wasn't it like, I don't know, how was the peace? Because the Scar people and the wolves were actually in peace.
They had multiple...
Right, and it was broken.
They had multiple treaties. Yeah, they had multiple treaties, and constantly, like, people... It was so weird. If you read the documentation, it sounded like the Scars
tried to have
got hurt, and then they sent people afterwards, and then it sounded like the wolves killed specific Scars, and then you talk to people in cutscenes, and they said, like, oh, we shot kids or something.
Yeah.
Like, it was never clear exactly
no one
who
is
did
really
what,
right.
but it sounded like both...
Yeah, everyone is guilty.
Yeah, I think all of them just wanted to be right. They all just wanted to be right and have their faith prevail, kind of.
Yeah, but to go back to the main point, as you said, like, maybe if the game was the other way around, maybe I would have actually enjoyed it more personally. Like, if I started with Abby and then with Ellie's part, maybe I would have liked it more, especially if I don't know what happens. Like, if it doesn't start with Joel dying, but like maybe leading up to it somehow, and then I'm not sure because I'm not a writer, but I think maybe that way I would have actually cared more about their camps, and not like through this other half of the game just redeeming herself and learning more about her and her friends and their journey. But maybe if it started out with that, then I would have seen everything differently. And also, I think the whole plot of the game was more like almost a movie kind of plot, like Christopher Nolan kind of movie with like jumping back and forth and seeing the same days happen from completely different perspective and jumping back in time and then confronting in one point. It was almost like a movie, a revenge movie from two perspectives.
All right, so there was a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't work the other way around. Because where do you start out? The problem is that if you give Joel too much time in the beginning, it just seems weird if you rip him out afterwards. So he needs to go from the beginning. That's the only way Ellie's story makes sense as well.
What I would have done is start a game without even mentioning Ellie or Joel and just having a completely separate line who are like hunting for someone, and you find out at the end that it's Joel, and then you kill Joel, but then you already care about them.
But what do you do then? Then you have two revenge stories in one game. If you have
you
the
had
revenge
two revenge
story
stories
of
right now in one game, or multiple, more than two.
Yeah, no, you don't. You have an opening in which a murder takes place from two different perspectives. Story. Then you have a revenge.
That was already a revenge
then you have
story,
a revenge story.
Yeah, that was the revenge of.
Yeah, but that was only from one perspective. That was just the opening act.
Yeah, so that's fun.
That was literally like a flashback or the cold open for a Bond movie that takes like 5 minutes. You rush through that and then the plot begins. So the way I see it is that was the key point in the story. You saw it from two perspectives happening, the same thing that affected everybody who you're playing with afterwards. And then you go into the revenge plot. Then you see where that leads. It ends on a cliffhanger. Then you go into the redemption arc and elaborate why stuff happened with the people around you and who cares. And you, first of all, the first one thins the horizon. The second one broadens the horizon at the set pieces again. And then you let them clash at the end.
Yeah, but for me, just doesn't work for me with the game. Like, I feel like that's like
but if you have Abby hunt down Ellie in the beginning, if you have Abby hunt down Joel in the beginning, you already get a lot of, like, at that point, you have the same story twice, because Abby doesn't care about people anymore. She just goes off alone to kill Joel. She just has a single-minded approach, just rushes through things to get things done to kill him.
Yeah, but I mean, then they would have told the story differently.
And then you go with...
They could have made it, like, different. Like, then you would have, like, care more about her people and, like, introduce them a bit more to you. And, like, actually care about everyone there. And especially Abby and, like, how she feels. Maybe with more flashbacks about her past. Like, a completely different story. And it leads up to Joel killing her dad. And therefore, like, you find it out somehow, and then you find out that it's Joel, and that's a huge twist, and then you switch to the other side, Ellie, to hunt her down because what she did. I think that would also make sense to me, and then I would actually care about Abby to start off like a whole new person, like a whole new character. And this way...
But then make it an entire game. Don't make it 2 points, because if you do the same thing with Ellie literally again... like, you travel to Jackson to kill Joel, then you travel to Seattle to kill Abby. It's the same thing, and you're going through the same motions.
Yeah, but okay,
because
but like,
then the people from Jackson would have been the enemies and the assholes who you killing all over the game, and you don't feel bad about killing Joel at the end. And then you go all the way back and kill Abby at the end.
Yeah, but I feel like
there's
how
no
it is
resolution.
Right now,
there's like no narrative
maybe,
there.
But how it is right now, I feel like I think it's just ultimately flawed for me, and I think many other people, because you mainly care about Joel and Ellie. That's like basically what you come for. And if you don't get that, then you want something completely different or completely new. But what you get is a story about someone killing Joel, which is basically everyone's favorite character if it's not Ellie. And then you just have this character you hate already, and then you have to play with that character and you want her dead. But you are forced to play as someone you don't even want to play as, and you have to go after like Ellie, who you love, and you have to fight Ellie. Like, for example, there's a boss fight where you literally have to try to kill Ellie. Obviously you don't kill her, but I let my character die because I don't want her to kill Ellie. I want her to die, so it just doesn't work, because I don't even want to play as her. I don't want to complete her agenda when I care about the other perspective, which was from the first game for almost everyone. So I think that just makes no sense to do it like that. Like, it's literally like you would play the bad person in a game which was built on the two characters, which were literally the center of everything, and their relationship was the only real thing that you were caring about. And now your goal is to go against that, basically, with a character that killed one of your favorites. Can you not see how that would not work for some people. Maybe for you work because you could completely like separate yourself from the two stories and look at this new character Abby as like her own person and what she came through and what she is going through and her mental state and how she's trying to redeem herself. But that's because you can like disassociate these two things, but I think a lot of people can't, and they will never do. Like myself, I would never like her because of how it happened from the first game to the second game and how the whole game kicked off in the beginning.
I don't know, man. Like, Joel was never a good character. Even throughout the first game, like the way he treated Ellie and just everybody else around him, he just used people to get what he wanted and only did like one favor to one friend until he actually let Ellie to get close to him.
Yeah, I don't know, like he's not a good person. Yeah, we can all agree, but no one is.
And it doesn't... And he deserves to die, like, for sure.
Yeah, maybe.
And the only reason why I can empathize with Abby is because she literally went through the same shit Ellie did. Well,
Ellie never.
I mean, in regards to Joel,
right? Other than
in regards to Joel, Ellie had a mom, but
yeah, and also Ellie
had a much rougher. She was,
and I mean, like she was the cure, and like that's like a whole nother. I actually want your opinion on that as well, Like, do you justify Ellie hating Joel or forgiving Joel and how she feels? Yeah, so you understand that she's angry at Joel for saving her.
So that's also one of the really smart moves that the game developers did, because you have so many stretches in the first act with Ellie of just hate and no character development, and everybody you meet is just bland shells, that the only people who stick out are the flashbacks with Joel, because he's such a delight, and every time you hang out with him it's like the best thing ever in the entire game because the chemistry is fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just there so you get pushed ahead to kill all these fuckers because you remember how good Joel was, so you get incentive because every like 5 hours or so you need to be reminded that Joel is a cool dude and a good person. But the shittier Ellie gets and the more fucked up Ellie gets, and she literally becomes the villain in this game, to be honest. Like, okay, so hatred and vengeance are the villain, but she is definitely the instrument. If anybody is a protagonist in this game or gets close to it, I would say it's probably Levi or Abby. Like, Ellie is completely fucking off the rails.
I would not say Abby at all, but Levi I can... Like, I think Levi is actually a really good character overall. Like, who doesn't know, again, he's this car kid who is teaming up with Abby, actually. And they are kind of bonding together, and her sister is there. Like, their whole relationship grows from Abby saving her sister and him, even though they are in the opposing factions, basically. And yeah, he's super sweet and just like a poor kid. Yeah. But I would say that
the relationship in the flashbacks with Joel sours like a lot over the first act as well. Like, you realize that Ellie just can't comprehend that Joel saved her basically and doomed humanity. And at that point you don't know anything more, because then it switches to Abby and you don't know the resolution of this thing like till towards the end of the game when you play with Ellie again after Abby doesn't kill Ellie and gives her a second chance at life. Without hate.
Yeah, but at the end, Ellie doesn't kill Abby either,
and you see how good she has it.
Like, Ellie does the same at the end. Like, she also lets her live and love too. Like, she lets them go the same way Abby let them go. So it also repeats itself.
Exactly. She breaks the cycle. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Like, if she would have killed Abby and then didn't kill Lev or something, Lev would have come after her and it would have continued forever. The fucking vicious cycle of hatred and nothingness and all this crap.
And then probably JJ or whatever the baby's name was would come after Lev and it would just go on forever.
Exactly. So she broke the cycle. She allowed herself to forgive and thus move on.
Yeah, and that was also because of Joel, which was kind of like
I really the last cutscene is mirrored.
Yeah, that ending was super. Like, I really like that how that tied up the whole game. Actually, like the whole ending section was really nice. That kind of saved the game a bit for me, story-wise, to be honest.
So I mentioned in the normal review that I like cried twice, and the thing is, like, both of them were flashbacks with Joel, which is super ironic because he's dying in the beginning, and I've been shitting on Joel a lot throughout the fucking review. But so the first one was when they were at the dance. Okay, so what is really weird to me is that they put out this trailer at E3 last year of like this church dance, winter dance thingy. And they almost show all of it except the last part when Joel pops up in it. And they refer to it in the opening so many times constantly, but they never show it.
You don't know what happened
until all the way at the end. And it's so weird to me that they showed this thing at E3 and already showed all of this. Anyway, so in the end, Joel pops up. And somebody's calling Ellie a bigot because she kissed Dina or something.
Dyke.
And Joel gets in the way and... Oh, yeah. A dyke. And Joel gets in the middle of it and tries to prevent, I think Seth was his name, to go any further and like calm him down. And Ellie just screams at him that he should just leave her alone and stuff. And I really thought at that moment that was the last time they talked before Joel died, because that would have been the next day.
Yeah, it made you think that was the last moment. They actually... I think
that was the saddest thing to me.
Yeah.
That was like the fucking saddest thing, because that set Ellie on the path again to like go to Abby and kill her like properly this time.
Yeah, that was. I actually also thought that that's the last moment. I had the exact same thought. It was. I probably made you think that was the last time they talked, because in the beginning of the game they sometimes even refer to like, oh, how are you with Joel? And she's like, oh, we are not so good, you know. And then you think that was the last time they talked, basically.
Yeah, their relationship wasn't like doing that well throughout that series. And then the last one is literally the last cutscene where Joel is just playing guitar on his porch, and Ellie comes up and they talk about that Ellie should have just died in that hospital, and then she would have mattered. Her life would have mattered. And Joel just stands there and growls to her that he would have, if the Lord would have given him another chance, he would have done it all over again. And Ellie says she can never forgive him for that.
Well, she said
but she wants to try.
Yeah.
And that was the last thing they ever spoke to each other. And it's like so beautiful. Like, he got 4 years with Ellie that he can that he can always cherish. Like, there might have been like the best years of his life after the pandemic.
Yeah, I agree. And
it was like such a beautiful cap off, and she finally realized that the hatred is really just the toxic swirling ball of awfulness, and she kind of just needs to let go.
Yeah, it led back to forgiveness, because that whole scene was about her forgiving Joel, basically, and then at the end, like when she's about to kill Abby, she's literally killing Abby, and then she sees that scene basically, and then she also kind of forgives her, I guess, in a way, and lets her go.
Yeah, and I think at that point, Ellie is exactly at the point where Abby was when she let Ellie go. Like, she already... She experienced so much with Owen, all the things that she did wrong, she realized, and she just wanted to help these kids that were just dealt a really bad hand, and she kind of just abandoned them, but then went back for them, and then tried to actually make better and make due for what she's done. And she actually did care for them, because she could have just left them at the island and could have not gone after them, but she actually did, and she pushed through all of this nightmare and actually, like, took the kid to Santa Barbara to like look for a better life. And
yeah, true, I agree. She definitely cared about those two, but what I was also saying earlier, that she again just like chose her own, like put her own self in a way, with her own forgiveness, her own redemption over everyone else again. So maybe she's trying to redeem herself with love and try to break the cycle of revenge. But at the same time, she's still killing people that care about her or are close to her. I don't know. It's just weird a bit to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it was definitely a hard game, and like talks about a lot of topics. I think like it has religion, definitely a lot of revenge. The last fight, Max probably doesn't know Naruto that well, but There's
know
Sasuke
exactly
and
what he meant.
Naruto, who is like Sasuke is this kid who is all about revenge. That's his whole story in the whole anime through like fucking 30 seasons. And there's a last fight between Naruto and him, and they just do the same thing. Like they can barely walk, and they just beat the crap out of each other basically. So that reminded me of that, and yeah, it was a really nice ending to the game, and it tied it up nicely. I agree with that, but I still stand by my point what I said earlier, that I just don't like how this was put together. Even though I like how Naughty Dog tried to like twist it up completely from the previous game and like try a completely different direction, tell like a story with like a point behind it being revenge and this vicious circle of hate and forgiveness at the end, which is like, I think it's a really good message, but I just didn't like playing it through as it was. If it was a movie, or if I was a new player, as I said, I would have liked it more, because then I wouldn't have had the connections from the previous games. But this way I just didn't feel like playing that character, and that was my main problem.
I think your problem was a different one as well. So you mentioned movie a couple of times now, and Naughty Dog is usually known for making games that are like movies,
Yeah,
right?
true.
In quotes, they're all like movies. But I think this is the first game that is actually like a television show.
Yeah, I mean, true. It's basically like The Walking Dead, right? Super much like The Walking Dead. Like, even in the beginning of it, as mentioned.
I don't want to say Walking Dead specifically. I just want to talk about like the structure and how television shows usually run.
Yeah, I know what you
because
mean.
if this would have been a movie, it only would have had Ellie's act, and that would have been it, and it would have been fleshed out a bit more, and the characters would have gotten some development. But I think because you had like a season's worth of footage and character development in here, you had the time to, like, in the first couple of episodes, just to go like really narrow-minded, and you had like high notes at specific chapter ends and stuff, to like really focus on the characters. And then you completely switch it up and have like back and forths and flashbacks and flashbacks and flashbacks, and you like stretch out the story. Like in a television show, I think the opening would have never happened the way it did. It would have just straight up started with Ellie being in Seattle hunting some assholes down, and then it would have fleshed out the backstory with like flashbacks later on and reveal much more what would have happened, which they technically kind of did with the dance thing at the end and with Joel. But yeah, I think this thing is very much structured like a television show in a lot of ways. So a lot of movies have the issue when they adapt games, that games are just 30 hours of people hanging out and talking, and you can't really condense that into like 90 minutes. That's why a lot of game movies just are hollow and suck, because they don't have any substance and they don't have the time to build all these characters. That's why the Witcher show actually worked, because it was 45 minutes over, what was it, 8 episodes or 10 episodes?
Yeah, like 10.
That actually gave you the time to give a shit about these characters. And that's the reason why all these like television shows or television networks want to adapt games into like television shows, because they make sense, because you have the time there to tell the narrative.
Yeah, I completely
and I
agree
think
with
this
you,
was the first game that is 30 hours of just constant character development, plot to twists, flashbacks, flash forwards, and all this stuff. I think this might be the first game that is actually like a television show, and it's not like a movie at all. This is not a movie. This is like straight up a television show.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that. Like, it's actually more like a series. But I mentioned like Nolan movies because they are usually this twisted, and you play the same things from the different perspective. That's why I could imagine him making a movie similar to that, where you kind of puzzle everything together and find it out this way. So that reminded me of that. But yeah, it would definitely work better with like a proper TV series, because of the sheer content that's in the game, and the time you need to build up these characters to actually care about them in any way.
Do you also know why it's written like a television show?
Why? No.
So after they announced that Last of Us Part 2 is actually happening, there was an interview with Neil Druckmann, the director of the game, who said that he never wanted to touch the second one in the first place, and the only way they're gonna approach this is that The Last of Us is not just stories about random people. It's always about Ellie and Joel in a way. So that already limited them in kind of a way. And then they brought on a new writer who did Westworld, which is a television show.
Yeah, I heard about it. Sure.
So the co-writer of the entire thing is a television show writer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which makes a lot of sense if you think about it.
That definitely feels that way. By the way, I wanted to also mention that do you like prologue games, like games prequels, like that play before something that you already played? Because that's already my problem with replaying the same 3 days from this different perspective with Abby, that I already know where I will end up at. And I will already know that these people I meet will die, and I will already know kind of what will happen and where I will end up at. And that kind of spoils my fun. I never liked prequels either, because it's like playing something that you know that where it will lead. So that's also my issue with it.
Yeah, I get your point. I don't like that either. That's not great. But to be fair, at least Abby's campaign is structured in a way that you almost never meet any other people who actually die by Ellie's hand.
Well, you meet them basically before they die, right? Like you meet Nora in the hospital, she helps you, and then you know that, oh, she will die in 2 hours. Like, you know, that's like my feeling. Oh, you're meeting Owen in the aquarium. Oh, you're like, oh, by the time Nora, I go back, she will be dead, right? Like, that's what I think.
Yeah, Nora's already halfway dead when you meet her, because it's the same night when Ellie like takes her out. But that's also never gonna be mentioned again.
Wait, maybe I missed Nora with the medical girl, the one.
Isn't that?
I don't know. But yeah, but when you meet with Abby, like she's just helping her down, right, to find the equipment she needs, and then I will already know that in like 1-2 hours. She will be down in the basement, choking on spores, and then getting tortured by Ellie. And then I already know that Owen or whatever, Mel, I don't care about them. Don't care what they say or do, because I know that they will die either way. Like, no matter if I try to save this person, no matter what I try to do, they will just die, because I already knew that.
Yeah, but you never had to save Owen.
Yeah, I was just saying for an example.
The only reason why they were in the plot at all at that point was because they were fleshing out Abby's motivations and character.
Exactly, but if I know that...
You never had to, like, actively help them.
Yeah, I know, but, like, you
didn't need to care about them because
option,
you...
For example, that, we may maybe go to Santa Barbara together, maybe have a life, but you already know that that's never gonna happen, no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't need to give a shit. I didn't give a shit about them either. So. I did give a shit about their relationship and how it reflected on Abby, because with Owen being there and having sex with her and wanting her to come along on the boat trip and leaving Mel behind, and Abby actually wanted to come along now because
that was a big move, by the way.
she realized that all that hatred and just vengeance just totally destroyed her personal life and whatever she loved and whatever love she had.
But you know, it's always a good idea.
It's more about how these characters...
Sorry, it's always a good idea to sleep with your girlfriend's boyfriend. Or your pregnant girlfriend's boyfriend. Because that's a nice thing to do, girls, yeah.
I mean, she loved him from the beginning. The only reason why they split up is because she went so hell-bent on the revenge thing for Joel. And literally destroyed her own life. That's exactly what Ellie did with the farm. Like, after she came back, Dina was gone with JJ.
Yeah. We don't really know. That's exciting. I would love to, like, read a comic or something. But, like, at the same time, I don't want to find out what happened. It's nice to have it, like, kind of open at the end.
Exactly. You don't know what Ellie does afterwards. Like, is she going back to the Fireflies because she read through all the notes of Abby and is gonna, like, just offer herself up so she can be killed to cure the planet? Because she, like, has nothing left.
So you see her sadly walking away. She has no fingers.
She has no connection to Joel anymore. She can't even play the guitar, the only thing that gave her hope. Is she just gonna, like, end it all, or is she actually going after Dina because she finally realized that she can forgive herself and actually move on with her fucking life?
I mean, both would make sense, but didn't they say that Abby's dad is the only doctor in the world that can do this operation for some reason? I think they actually said that, like, he's the only one that can do it.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Out of the Fireflies, but they're regrouping, right? So there might be.
Oh, they said there's already more than 200, right? It's just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. So what were you thinking about the set pieces though? Like everything, all right. So we were talking about it in the normal review. I was fucking happy when that stupid horse Shimmer or whatever got shot in the head.
really, Shimmer is a nice
I'm sad
horse.
for that horse. I'm sad for that horse, but that was the exact point when I realized that the stupid open world segment was finally gone, and you're gonna have like a proper narrative from there.
You mean
on out.
like I can't remember when did Shimmer die in that open world part at the end of the Seattle downtown?
Right when you get out of
Okay,
downtown.
well, yeah. So
Yeah.
that for people who never played it, it's like the game is very linear, except in the beginning there's a section for some reason which is not completely but pretty much open world where you can go and just explore in a pretty empty area. There's nothing really happening there. I kind of enjoyed it because I just like the open world-ish games and exploring, but at the same time it really didn't fit the game. And what it made even weirder is that it never comes back. Like that's just the one-off in the beginning of the game, and then it's very linear again, which makes absolutely no sense. So I'm not sure how that got into there or why it's even there at all.
I have absolutely no idea. Uncharted had the same kind of segments with like
the
the
safari
boat
part,
on
yeah,
Madagascar
exactly.
and on the mountains and stuff.
Yeah.
But at least there it made sense. You have these open. I mean, it makes kind of sense here too. But at the same time, it's such a useless thing in a game. Like make an open world game or leave it, or make at least more segments like.
And they
these.
also kind of introduce you to having this map with like zones on it, and then the map is just gone after that, and like it made no point at all. Like I don't even.
It made no sense. No sense.
Yeah, that was very stupid. Probably that part they could have cut out almost all and just have like a small linear section, and would have made the game way shorter already, because that part was actually pretty long if you explore everything. So
when you were in the epilogue, right, and you were going to Santa Barbara, I think Ellie takes a map from the boat and then marks stuff on it, and you had like a little cutscene or something.
Yeah.
I was so scared that in the epilogue suddenly they bring back this feature and you have to like stroll through the entirety of Santa Barbara.
No, it was very close.
And I was
very
already
close.
looking at like, oh my god.
But oh, you know what? It reminded me of something weird again. Like, do we remember why like Tommy and Ellie just dropped the map in the aquarium? With the map that leads Abby to them, like it was just there on the floor with all their markings on it, and they just left it there. That was so weird to me. It felt like it was like almost a plot hole. They just dropped it. No, not plot hole, but more like, you know, like this. I don't even. What do they call these things where it's only there to further the plot, basically? Like, there's no other point behind it. It just plays.
You mean probably MacGuffin or something, but that's not a MacGuffin.
I don't know what that is.
MacGuffin is something that people in the plot trying to like get.
Well, whatever. But like
for example, if you have the.
Like, do you know why that map was there? Like, it was just weird.
I think if I had to guess, I would say because Owen and Mel and Ellie were fighting and it just fell out of her pocket or
like,
something.
they killed them,
I
and
can't remember
like,
having.
they were not like hurrying or anything. They were just there meeting, and then the map was on the floor and they left it there, which was their map basically with all the places marked on it.
Yeah, but the thing is, I can't remember if Ellie had it out for some reason and was looking at it or something. But if I had to guess, because I can't remember, I have to like get to that point again in the second playthrough. But
are you already in the second playthrough?
Yeah, I want to get the platinum.
Oh my god, Max, please.
So I would guess that they were fighting, the map fell down. Ellie was looking at Mel, realized she killed a pregnant woman, and literally broke down afterwards. And then Tommy and Jesse came in and just grabbed her and dragged her out of there because they were literally sitting in a puddle of blood of an infant and a mother.
Yeah, but true. But at the same time, in this game, you literally see everyone dying and looking in every corner, every little crack, and then you leave your map on the floor.
Yeah, but you gotta realize, right? They have a different mindset at that point. They're not just standing in the room and be like, how can we make this the smartest move that we can? No, like Tommy and Jesse rushing in, seeing Ellie on the floor crying, looking at the woman who died, and Ellie having a mental breakdown, in a completely infested part of the town where there's two fractions at war, and they have to drag her back to the theater in some kind of way. So you don't just chill there and try to figure out what the fuck's going on.
You know, the point fan, they are back in the theater, and with Tommy and Jesse, they actually planning to go back home, and Ellie agrees on giving up on her vendetta, right?
Yeah.
So she already wants to break the circle there. Like, she lets Abby go.
No, she's being forced to because there's no other choice, because Dina is pregnant.
Yeah, but she could just say that, okay, Tommy and Jesse takes Dina and she stays.
Yeah, look, but no, they already established that Tommy and Jesse can take Dina because she would never leave without Ellie. That's what they already established before in a cutscene. And also, Ellie is already back at the farm afterwards when Abby beats her down. And she was on the farm for a while because that kid is already grown, and they have like a bunch of animals and an entire decked out house and stuff. So she's been there for a while.
By the way, that farm is
and she
the
still
most beautiful scene. Like, that whole area is like I think the most beautiful gaming scene I've ever seen. Like, that just looks crazy.
Yeah, but that's supposed to look like that, so you see what she's actually giving up to go on this path.
But I'm just
death.
mean, like, graphically, it's like the whole area there with the mountains, with the like the pink sun rise or sun sun going down. I don't know which one it was. It's just so beautiful, and like the whole grass moving, like not the grass, like fields moving. It's just crazy beautiful. I really love that.
Yeah. But you can see, like, even after all that time, she still breaks down with PTSD attacks and just guilt riddled all over her, that she can't even bear, like, being with her family and has to leave to, like, finish what she started. Only when she's actually at the point where she can finish it herself and then move on is the point where she actually stops and forgives her.
But to be honest, we, like, having PTSD like that is normal, right? And she's trying to, like, probably looking for ways to get over it, but she only goes back because of Tommy, because he comes back and tells her the location of Abby, and then also calls her out that she promised him that she would do it. So I'm not sure if she would have done it on her own will, or just go to therapist and get over it. But, like, you know, like what I mean, like, she was kind of pushed.
No, I think she would have done it either way.
Like, she was not really looking for that. Like, she was pushed into it.
No, I think her having survived a near-death experience with Dina and Tommy losing an eye and completely beaten down.
Yeah, by the way, how did he not die? Didn't he get shot in the head? Lucky man.
Just gave her more time with her family and a bit more leeway before going on a hunt again. I'm pretty sure if she would have left the way she did...
Well, we don't really know, but yeah, I'm not sure.
I think if she would have left the way she did, two things would have happened. Either she would have immediately gone back after Dina would have been home without Dina to kill Abby, maybe with Tommy, probably without, and would have gotten herself killed. Or Abby... I don't know. I don't know at that point if Abby would have come back. But do you really think that
she would have done it if Tommy doesn't say the things he said? Because she was kind of happy. Like, she was really happy with the baby. She was, like, kissing her wife or whatever Dina is.
You don't know how many panic attacks she had already.
We saw it even in her nose that she had a bunch of panic attacks. But I think that's more like getting over it process than trying to get revenge.
I think the only difference was that now she actually had a location to go.
So you don't think that mattered that he said, oh, she promised him and she's breaking her promise and to Joel, basically?
Of course that mattered, because that just gave her more guilt.
Yeah, exactly. So
that just pushed her even more, but I think she would have done it either way.
Yeah, it's a good question, actually, and we will never know, but, like, it's just interesting to think about, like, what she would have done if she, let's say, she knew the location of Abby, but Tommy was not in the picture, kind of pushing her into that even more.
How many minutes are we in already? Just asking.
It's 1 hour and 15 minutes. So yeah, I think we already said enough, to be honest, anyway.
All right, yeah, we went through it a bunch, and I think we also went a bit in circles.
Yeah, true, but it's
one thing though that I still wanted to.
I think.
Like the circles of hatred and revenge.
And
so
forgiveness.
There's one thing I still wanted to. Yeah. that I wanted to touch on real quick. So I noted down like one or two highlights for me in like the environments and the set pieces that they actually had. And I just wanted to like call them out because I really liked them, and I just wanted to like go through them quickly. So the things that I really loved was the opening in Jackson, in the city itself, and just like hanging out with the characters. That was really cool. I felt like
I wish we had more time there, honestly.
If you stand it would have been so nice to spend some time with Joel there, because Joel is fucking
in the
awesome.
winter
But
with like all the kids playing in this westernish environment. That was so cool. I agree.
Yeah, if you stand close to the people, they have like proper conversations and stuff as well. It's like really cool. So that stood out to me. Then almost everything in Ellie's campaign is just really... It gets like more dire and darker visually as well, and just really grimy and terrible. I think a standout in that was the Seattle underground scene with like the new infected that were introduced, and just the scenery of everything being like drenched in red, and the uncertainty of where monsters were and stuff. That was really cool. Then that was literally it for Ellie's campaign. And then everything else that was really cool was from Abby. Like the forest scene from the trailer that I talked about before with the hammer, where you like being strung up by the wolves. That was really, really cool. The sky bridge was fucking awesome. I was losing my shit when I had to like balance over the fucking skyscrapers. That was crazy.
Are you also scared of heights?
I also loved
Abby?
the character. No, I'm not scared of heights, but like that got my heart like pumping of me falling down and not wanting to mess up and stuff. And also Abby's fear and Levi just like jumping around in front of you was like really funny and cool. Also the sequence where you like go down the entire tower, like the descent or whatever it's called, through all these hallways.
It was like a hotel basically,
really
and
cool.
like many floors of a giant hotel.
Yeah, that was fucking awesome. And then the island was really, 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 really cool. I was so amazed by how the shift, the tone of the games was completely shifted to this ancient village.
It was so cool.
Just visually how it looked. It was so dope. And then at the end, when everything is on fire and you're riding with a horse through the city and shooting.
Yeah.
So fucking dope.
I agree.
Like I said, like every set piece in like Abby's campaign is just really uplifting, cool, bright, and fucking awesome.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
In that part, Abby's half of the game was way better. I think the places were way more exciting. She went through like all the fun areas happened there. I just like playing with Ellie more. That's the only difference. As you said, in Ellie's part, I only like the beginning, really. That was super beautiful. And then everything was just the same. This rainy, gloomy, getting darker and darker. And the underground part, to show that my cat arrived. And the underground part, which was... which was actually a creepy part of the game. And then you met the new AI, which we never even talked about, the Shamblers, I think. And they are,
Shamblers, yes.
So they are kind of cool.
Yeah, there's a couple of new AI. Like the additions are really, really cool. The Shamblers
and the big,
are
the giant
like
mutated shit from Abby's campaign. So yeah, I think you left that part out, or maybe you didn't like it as much as I did. But that was the creepiest part of the game.
Fuck yeah,
the
you're
hospital underground with the surgery rooms, and you locked down there in the first infected, basically not even knowing what it is, and then the giant ass door exploded with like all blood everywhere, and you don't know what it is, and then you meet this super crazy mutated boss monster. Oh my god, that part was so creepy. I had to turn down the volume on my TV because it was like 3 a.m. yesterday when I was playing that. I was actually scared at that part. That was fucking awesome. Yeah.
That was fucking awesome. I should have noted that down. There was ground zero. Like you going to the hospital, and that was the quarantine zone where the first infected in Seattle was discovered, and they just locked that shit down and left it there for I think 20.
Yeah.
How many years was it? I think it was 20 years after the first
game,
and now 24
note from
years.
the first people getting infected, not knowing what's happening, and it's just, and you are there, and you don't know either, and you know that those people are still there somewhere, and it's so creepy. It's like a proper horror game.
Yeah, the doctor's just saying like, hey, I can't get out
Yeah.
of here. Can somebody just help me with their connections? I want to, like, I have to sleep in this office, and everything's just completely fucked up. By the way, the boss is called the Rat King.
Rat King, okay. He's a fucking creepy ass monster, jeez. That was really scary.
Man, I was so confused. Did you go to the door before and try to open
and then
it?
there was the big sound
Before you turn on the power?
and there was this big sound effect and you were like, oh, what the fuck. Yeah, it was so cool.
Yeah.
But that actually reminded me of
Yeah, sure enough, when you go
we
back-
always mention Resident Evil. This reminded me of Resident Evil a bit. With this weird ass monster chasing you through the fucking hospital.
Yeah.
It was so crazy.
It was like these things were just stuck in this room for so long, and the mushrooms were growing all over the place and pushing them all together, so they kind of grew into like one big biomass. It's so cool also, like when you injure that thing and the one thing is just falling off the leg.
Yeah, it comes separate and then moves separately. Yeah.
Oh, it's so fucked up, but so cool. That was like really a highlight of the game.
So too.
Holy
and
shit,
that was the
amazing.
highest tension, other than the hotel you mentioned, where you go down the hotel. That was creepy as hell too, because you went through these little breakpoints and just infected everywhere. Those were the best part, gameplay wise, and like environment tension wise.
I think what was also really cool was on the island later on when you were fighting all the scars, and they'd use all these.
Oh yeah, the whistles.
They're so cool. I wish they would have been used more often in Ellie's campaign.
I think the whistles are
really
really
only
cool,
see
but
them
kind of
once.
stupid at the same time. Like they whistle and then you know where they. Like it's not the most clever fighting strategy, but it's cool.
I was so confused that when I was playing through Ellie's campaign, at the point where you hit the aquarium, I was already thinking this is like the last person before you meet Abby or something. I thought the game was over at that point. I didn't even know you were playing as a second character. And it just seemed so weird to me that they introduced like the wolves, which you know nothing about. They introduced the scars in like 2 or 3 scenes, which you know nothing about.
You actually learn through the scars from these two characters we already mentioned, Yara and Levi. That's the way you kind of find out what they believe in and how they live and stuff like that.
Yeah, also the wolves, like I said, nothing. You learn nothing about Seattle almost, except from like the optional notes and stuff.
But let's
what is
mention
going on
that
in the city.
this is a game where I actually read all the notes I found, which is very rare. Like not a single note was longer than 2 pages, and usually I don't read text like that in game, but it's like it's the perfect size in this game, and you can just read everything in like 1 minute.
Did you read them in the first game as well?
No, I think I only read it this. No,
really?
Yeah, I probably read a bunch.
I think in the first game I
read everything here.
I think in the first game they're even better than in this one.
Nice. Yeah, I read everything
because part of the issue was that you don't switch locations that much. You spend like a massive chunk of time in Seattle, and I feel like a lot of the stories just kind of blend together at that point because they all have kind of the same issues. It's like, oh, we ran into the wolves and they're terrible. Oh, we ran into the scars and they're terrible. Oh, we left a person behind and everything sucks. In the first game, because you travel so much through the US in like different locations, like a lot of the stories that you find in like specific cities are all tied into one narrative. So all the notes that you find tie into one thing specifically that's for that specific area. So it makes a lot of sense in that regard.
It was more like small separate stories for a few people, which was also cool to follow, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. There was a lot of cool shit there, but I think the variety was just kind of missing.
And I really like that, like you read a note and then like you read the note somewhere, and then you actually find those people dead or rotting away somewhere in the game, and you can identify them from the notes. It's like so fun.
So another new enemy type was the dog, right?
Oh, the
How
dog.
Do you feel about the dog?
That was actually, we should have mentioned probably in the gameplay part in the other. But that actually changes up the gameplay a bit and adds a new mechanic with like where you have to like hide your scent, or like you can see your own scent and move from it. I kind of like them. They were not like a big deal. They were not like overwhelmingly there like many times. Like you meet them like 20-30 times maximum, I think. So it was fine for me.
Yeah, they were like scaring the shit out of me because they always found me everywhere and always hurt me immediately and always came towards me. I don't know why. You meet them on like Hillcrest or whatever in Seattle, which is also one of like the nicer areas. When Ellie is going to find Jesse in like the upper town or whatever, and you meet the dogs for the first time, and they just keep following me. They were like destroying my entire strategies because I usually just snuck around and killed everybody, but these stupid dogs kept finding me throughout the entire game.
Well, that was kind of the point, I think.
Yeah, I didn't want to
like to kind of
I know.
flash you out from the covers, because there's so much more verticality and so much more places where you can hide in this one. So they added this to kind of flash you out and make you move. I think that was the.
I mostly just bowed the stupid dogs and then just ran for the tall grass and
didn't you feel bad when they died? Like whimpered like, wee. I always felt so bad killing the dogs.
I didn't care about most of the dogs. The only dog I actually cared about was like Alice or whatever in the aquarium.
Yeah, that was sad.
Because you have like a cutscene with a dog where you fight him off, and that was the first time where the dog's like doing this little paw thingy, and I was like, holy shit, that dog is animated so like sad and crazy. And sure enough, 5 minutes later, you play getting that dog.
Yeah, true.
And playing with it and stuff.
Yeah, giving it like the toys, and yeah, it was very sad. I hate animals dying more than humans. But I haven't seen a single cat in the game, so I'm angry. Put more cats in game. I saw drawings of cats.
I saw some. I saw some squirrels. I think I saw one cat.
Oh, they're lucky. I haven't.
There were a bunch of squirrels in Jackson.
Yeah, nice. I mean, yeah, and there were deers as well.
One enemy type we still have left, which is the stalker, and I hate these fuckers so much.
Were those new, or I can't remember if they were in this first game? No,
they weren't in the original. Stalkers are the new ones. They're a bit smarter than the clickers. You
they're really different than the clickers, though. They see you and they move like animals.
Yeah, they see you. You can't hear them except when they make the clicking sounds, and they're like constantly moving and hiding and shit. They're like the fucking worst enemies ever.
I agree. They were actually really annoying, and also it's very hard to melee. Like I meleeed in this game. I actually went for meleeing a lot, and I liked upgrading my melee weapons. But the freaking stalkers like push you away. Like they like hold you down and push you away, and it's even hard to melee and hard to dodge them because they are so quick and attack like 3 times in a row, and you have to dodge 3 times. Just really annoying enemy type. But they also kind of changed up the gameplay, so it was fun.
Yeah, man, the infection sections with the stalkers are fucking terrible. I hate these fuckers. I always took just out the shotgun and just mowed them down because I couldn't handle dealing with these assholes. Like, there was no point in, like, hiding and, like, going through it slowly, because as soon as anybody saw you, all these stupid things kept rushing you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're really annoying, I agree, and very quick, and also attack from like behind you. Like you don't even know where they are and just jump out somewhere. It's just so creepy. And they also run away. Like if you take your gun out and shoot at them, they freaking run away and they come back. Like that's the only AI that does that in the game.
Fucking worst, I swear to God.
Yeah, but I think we talked enough, Max, about this. 1.5 hours, just pure spoilers, basically. And I still haven't eaten, and it's 1:30, like so after midnight already. Thank you, Max. I literally had no time to eat because of Last of Us today. Like after work I instantly played it, and then I instantly went to talk about it. Like 4 hours. Nice.
Totally worth it.
It was fun.
All right. I'm pretty sure we went like through the narrative so many times, and we both said like what we were both thinking. Yeah. Where do you land on the game like now? Did it change anything talking about it?
Well, I understand your points completely, and I mean I agree, and I can see that a lot of people would think like that way, and it would make it a way better game. And that's why I even said for new players as well, if they don't know the background and don't care about the background, then they may be compelled to see the whole game like you more. Like a story about revenge and hatred and a vicious circle.
Yeah, I think for fans of The Last of Us, the best thing they can do is not replay The Last of Us before playing this. Like the time that you spent between finishing the first game and this one is actually a good thing, because you're not as attached to Joel as...
Yeah, that could be a problem for me specifically because I played the first game like 1.5 months ago or 2 months ago, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think it might still be too fresh. I mean, Joel is a fucking awesome character. Like, every second you spend with him
So
in this
fun.
game is amazing. So it's really sad that he actually is gone, but at the same time, he had it fucking coming. So
Yeah, to be honest, if I didn't know anything about the second game, I would have expected Joel to die at the very end of this game. That would have been my guess what they do, you know? But I guess they whatever.
it's actually so
Yeah.
hilarious. There was this one teaser trailer that is literally just the camera pans back from a city. You see like a firefly symbol, and then Ellie's just sitting in a bedroom playing the guitar, and then Joel comes in through the light or whatever and says, you're really gonna do this, kiddo? And she says, I'm gonna kill them all or something. And sure enough, the first billion comments underneath were, oh, Joel's dead. She's just doing this to revenge him.
I mean, they were right? Yeah.
That was 4 years ago or something, or 3 years ago. That was the first thing you've ever seen about The Last of Us. I mean, anybody who thought Joel is gonna live through like more than maybe halfway through the game is an idiot.
I mean, yeah, but even if it was like, I don't think people expected him to die this quick though. Like, he literally dies in like the first half an hour.
But I think it would have made the narrative so much worse if you would have lived for half an hour, for like half the game, and then would have died.
Well, yeah, how this game is
Because-
structured and put together, yes, because it's all built around that starting point basically, so it would have made no sense. Yeah.
Joel gives everybody purpose. He's the kickoff
Exactly.
point why everybody does what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree completely. Very true.
If you would have like spent fucking half the game with Abby just trying to kill Joel, it would have been tedious as fuck. And then you do another revenge story right after, so you do the same themes over and over again. And this game was already really tedious because how long it was. If it would have been a quick movie and half the game, and you would have done 2 revenge stories quickly and with more interesting set pieces, I think personally it would have been still more boring than what we got. But I think it might have would have worked.
Yeah, I agree.
Bye, Cat.
Yeah, I'm scared that he's gonna stop the recording, so have to put him down. Well, okay.
If the cat doesn't, then we should.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. So I think it's we talked enough for now. And if you guys
About
have
damn
anything
time.
to add about Last of Us and tell us how you feel about the game, please let us know in the comments below, or leave us a voice message, or email us at, what is the address, Max?
raweffectpodcast@gmail.com.
Exactly. So please message us anywhere. Let us know again what you think. Let us know what you think. What's your rating? How would you rate this game? Which one of us is right? And let us know if this podcast changed your mind about the game. But we definitely, both of us, recommend the game, and you should probably play it if you haven't.
I tell you what, write the rating in the comments on YouTube, but please don't spoil a game for other people.
Yeah, I especially don't write comments on the other podcast with spoilers from this video. So, you know, that would be very mean. But anyway, thank you for watching, guys. We're gonna be back with some news and probably some Cyberpunk in the next week. And we will see how we go from there. You will probably watch this on a Monday or Tuesday, depending how we put out the 2 episodes. And then we're gonna be back next week. So have a wonderful week. Play a lot of Last of Us, and see you next time. Goodbye.